People who were friends with murderers, what were your first thoughts when you found out what they did? Did you notice any strange behavior beforehand? The friend and the rapist. I had a friend who had an interesting encounter with the man who shot his son. I knew my friend would do something like that and fully understand him. After he visited the rapist, the latter was never seen in town again. I think he fled good luck being a rapist. As for my friend, a few weeks after meeting the rapist, he got a job offer in Indonesia and moved there with his family. By the way, Indonesia has no extradition treaty with the US for criminals. Funny detail. Jeff, the school weirdo. In school, I knew a guy named Jeff. He didn't kill anyone, but he always acted super creepy. He'd say and do stupid, weird things. He wasn't my friend, but as fellow outcasts, we crossed paths. Once he joked, there's a lady locked in my basement, Since it was Jeff, no one took him seriously, we just called him an idiot. A year later, news broke that his uncle had actually kept a woman captive. I sensed something was wrong. He became quieter, distant, and stared into space. The guy panicked after an accident and tried to cover it up poorly. Police eventually found the body. He obsessively followed the case. When the body was discovered on TV, he burst into tears. I asked, "Did you know her?" He replied, "No, just sad the family lost their grandma." I assumed his reaction was due to losing his own grandmother months earlier. I didn't notice the victim lived 2 miles from his home. At work, his performance tanked. When police questioned him, he collapsed, confessed everything, and even left an apology note on the body. His handwriting matched, and his truck had the victim's DNA. The family sympathized, calling it an accident. He served half a 2-year sentence, then scrapped his truck, saying it reminded him of that night. Sadly, he later killed himself. The victim's family forgave him. They were among his last calls. He wasn't a bad guy, just a tragic accident. The schizophrenic cellmate. While in a psych ward awaiting trial, I befriended a schizophrenic guy. He was smart, charismatic, and funny, except when he talked to voices in his head, he'd cringe and cry. During a weekend furlough, he murdered his family and a Chinese exchange student with a hammer. Cellmates turned killers. The 21-year-old, a kind, generous kid, got hooked on PCP. Hallucinating, he thought the world was on fire and broke into his dad's house. Mistaking his father in a rocking chair for the devil, he shot him. Sentenced to 60 years. He became my close friend in prison. Guilt consumed him. He asked everyone to forget him. The repeat offender did 18 years, then killed again weeks after release. He tried to go straight but fell back with old crew. An accomplice robbed a check cashing store, killing a clerk. My cellmate stayed in the car, unaware of the plan. Both got life. He was a wise mentor in prison but felt remorse for the victim's family. Story 5, the former friend. My sister's childhood best friend, like a sister to me, was arrested for killing an elderly woman she'd shoveled snow for. The woman accused her of stealing a credit card and she beat her to death. She seemed normal, popular, athletic, never in trouble. We knew each other for 3 years. The Christmas tree murder. A guy killed his best friend, a Christmas tree salesman. He was fun, non-confrontational, but addicted to coke and heroin. After the murder, he bragged about it while high, leading to his arrest. It terrified me. I lost trust in people. The hostile arsonist Robert Long. Robert Long torched a hostel in Queensland, Australia, killing 15. I lived there too, but left days earlier. My first thought, holy shit. Fear for friends turned to survivor's guilt when I recognized victims' names. I obsessed over news, hoping police would kill him. When caught, I thought, rot in prison. Years later, it haunts me when my kids talk about hostels. The school friend's wife. A classmate openly killed his wife. His family denied it, but he wasn't the same in school. Recently, a friend even matched with him on a dating app. The construction boss. A foreman's wife was found dead. Everyone assumed suicide. Cops found her frozen in a locked freezer. He'd lost a previous wife falling during a hike. Suspected in both deaths, but no proof. A week later, he was dating online. The colleague with schizophrenia. A former coworker killed his mother. Always odd tics, social quirks. He'd written celebrities as a student. After treatment, he worked on a TV show but relapsed, hallucinating around stars. Later, he stole his dad's rifle and shot his mom. He fired at police but surrendered. His family wanted psychiatric care, but he's in prison. If you were friends with a murderer, what went through your mind when you found out? Did you notice red flags? Share your stories and check out our other videos.